My name's David Hall. It's a beautiful June afternoon and I'm at Cuttle Mill at the Long Pool. This is the day ticket water and it's a prolific fishery. I've come here today for one reason, and that's to see the old master, Ivan Marks. He's a great angler, as we all know. Let's go and see if he's catching anything. Hello, mate.
Hello, David.
So you got me a chair ready?
Yes.
Has Linda been?
Yes, she's been and gone, like, to get me a sandwich or two, like.
How you doing?
Well, I'm catching one or two fish, like.
Any carp?
I've got one carp. I've had a few skimmers, one or two roach, but I'm trying the corn because there's that many roach when I live.
Corn?
Well, yeah.
What sort of bait is that?
Well, it's sweet corn.
Specimen hunter's bait.
Well, yes, but at the end of the day, I do use it on competitions, and it's to fish for the bonus fish.
Do you have any carp on the corn?
Yes, I've had everything on the corn. When I put a maggot on, I'm getting bothered by small fish, and I enjoy catching these sizable carp. You know, 3, 4, 5 pound fish.
I think it probably is the most exciting method of fishing, float fishing for carp.
Oh yeah, there's so many things you can do, and you get so many different bites off them. But there's one just turned at the side of my float, and it's the other side now.
Oh, it's fizzing. You just put some stuff in?
I just put a ball of groundbait in, and it's
fizzing.
It's like Alka-Seltzer, bubbles everywhere.
It's a fabulous place, isn't it?
Oh, the trouble is, I'm having to keep on pulling out because I don't know if I've got any bait on.
What depth have you got?
It's only about 3.5, 4 foot, and I've laid it on the bottom, and every now and again I can get a few indications, and when I pull out there's no bait on, but I've not had what you call a definite bite. But there's some fish there, and I keep on pulling it into the bubbles.
Just twitching it?
Yeah, just twitching it, and hopefully, you know, it's a carp will take it. But I don't want to catch roach.
You got any skimmers?
I've had 1 or 2 skimmers, but
it's funny how there's something there now.
yeah, I know.
They don't seem to grow on the skimmers, do they?
Well, in a fishery like this, I mean, the carp are a carp.
That looks like a carp.
Well, it feels a bit. Well, it feels big, but I don't think it's going to be a big fish. But you know, to bet, I wouldn't bet, because it might be an hybrid, it might be, you know, a tench, because there's every fish in this water. You know, when you say it's a still water, I'm talking in terms of. It is a tench. I said it could be a tench when I said. So, you know, you could even catch chub and dace in here. And we were just saying, it could be, and the fight's similar, but it's not a big fish. But you know, it's a nice little fish. You know, and
lovely fish, actually, aren't they?
Well, they are, but you know, as it goes. I mean, we'll put him in and see if we can get Grandad. Go on, baby. You know, there's a lot of fish out there. As I say, the reason I'm not using the normal baits, maggots and casters, I'm getting worried by too many small fish. And I think it's a waste of a day to...
Oh yes, you might not say that in a winter league.
Oh no,
June afternoon like this.
But when you're here, like, you've got to try to make the most of it and catch a few fish.
Did you have that on the corn then?
Yeah, I had that on the corn. There is a few years ago I got caught out, and I never took the corn, and everybody who beat me on the corn. But that was for crucian carp. And there's 1 or 2 places, you know, you take your normal baits.
That sounds like Misterton.
Yeah, Misterton, and there was one down London, and you're talking in terms of 30, 40, 50 pound, and you definitely think you can beat them, you know, with maggots.
Well, I think these specimen hunting lads have got it right in some respect, in that the maggot will catch everything, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
It will catch everything, and I think when you come to a place like this, You don't want to catch 3 and 4 ounce roach.
No,
do you?
no. I
You want
think
to- you want to
if
catch
you
the
wanted
carp.
me to sort of, if you wanted me to set my stall out and catch, roach, skimmers, and small fish,
Fish a chuck.
you could use a pole and enjoy yourself, but you get broke too many times,
Yeah.
with these carp coming through.
Well, it's not fair to the carp, is it?
No, you don't want to leave hooks into them.
What line are you on?
I'm using a strong line, a 3.5 pound to a float, and that's really unheard of unless you're in, Ireland or places like that. You
Or
don't do
Cuttle
it
Mill.
in England.
What's this rod? I've
This
not
is
seen that before.
one of the new tri-cast rods, and it's not
Soft.
too bad. It is a bit soft for this game, because you're hooking the bigger fish you're having a little bit of trouble with. But as I'm saying, normally if you was in a competition, you'd step up a rod.
The way you're going at the moment, you might have to step up to boilies.
Well, here again,
It's coming up the bank.
it's trying to come up the bank. It's another little fish.
Oh, it's another tench. You're in the tench swim.
Well, we were talking about carp, but I don't know what's happened to me. All of a sudden I've gone from
You sure you've got a carp?
well, we'll see at the end of the day. But here's another little tench. But the hook has gone into my net as well.
Oh, dear.
But there's again, nice little fit fish, no marks on it, fully scaled, and 12, 14 ounce fish. But
It's unusual to catch tench that size, isn't it?
yeah,
You're not-
it is really. I mean, when you say a tench, you're usually looking at £1.50, £2, £3.
Yeah.
But here we are on a place where the rules are broken.
Is your shot apart under your waggler for any reason?
Yeah, I like it apart. What is actually happening. If you put them close together, the float don't seem to stand upright in the actual water, and I like an inch gap in between them, so the float actually stands up. It seems to stand up straight. If you drop it in a bath or a bottle, you'll see the
I
reason
know Kenny
why.
Giles always leaves a gap.
Yeah, well, it's and it's a cushion when you do strike.
Yeah.
One of my shots slipping, so we'll try to tighten it.
How are you getting on with the new lead substitutes?
Well, quite all right. I mean, nothing will overtake lead, as it used to. I use them because you've got to use them. There's just odd waters around the country where you could probably not use. You could use lead, but we must use this lead substance.
That's gone again.
God,
Oh, I can remember when you were an angler.
I know, but you see,
You never get them. You never get them. Those sail away bites.
Well-
you never get.
they're the myth bites, as we call them.
Yeah.
You myth them. No, nobody's impossible.
What sort of weights do they put together here, Aaron?
What, actually fishing?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, at the end of the day to have, a 5-hour session, 30, 40, 50 pound or even
Really?
more. The brighter the days come, I would say the fish are probably moved a little bit towards the island, and as it gets, towards dark and they leave the islands, I'll get better as the day goes on now. But, if I was going to fish, I would fish up towards an island, but this is a nice pleasant swim, open, free.
You've got lily pads either side, haven't you?
Yeah, there's
You
one or
always
two
have a-
carp around, but it's just a matter of waiting for them to sort of find your bait. I'm not feeding, it's when I feed these places, it's one good hard ball with plenty of casters and a bit of hemp in, and if I loose feed, the water erupts with small fish, and if I put maggots on, it's just an impossibility to say which is the bite and which is the swirl.
You and I have discussed it before, but I'm certain these commercial fisheries are the future.
Oh, this has got to be. I've seen. I've been fishing 40 odd years, and the conditions has changed so much. all my old rivers where they used to say the king is here, I don't go because you can't catch fish.
No. Well, you just think, years ago, I mean, we used to go on the Witham, didn't we? We used to go on the Welland.
Well, Witham, Welland, Neen.
Oh, Neen. The Neen's not too bad. The Neen's making a bit of a comeback.
It is making a little bit
bream.
of a comeback, but when you say comeback, when you used to look at it and say, well, I've caught £10 and say, I'm going to finish nowhere in the competition.
Look at your swim, it's alive.
Yeah, if you turn around and catch £10 on the Neen now, you're more or less saying, well, I'm in the money. And you know, if you go on the North Bank, you're fishing for snakes.
Eels. Oh,
you know, with an odd bream weight.
and they're not even good eels. They're these, aren't they?
Oh yeah, the bootlaces.
Yes, that's not my idea of fishing. But this really, I mean, for the average angler,
Oh, this is perfect.
and there are certainly far more average anglers than there are top match anglers. I mean, to be able to come here for £3.50 and go home with 30 and 40 and £50 of fish. But more important, it's exciting fishing, isn't it?
Well, it is, you know, I mean, you only got to look around, a tin of sweet corn, a little bit of hemp, few maggots, few casters, missus in a deck chair, look at the scenery. You can't beat it.
You're obviously fishing well over depth there.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I don't want to catch these fish while they're up in the air, you know, so I've got, normally where I'd shot it with 3 or 4 number 10s and everything underneath the float, now I've got a bulker shot with 1 dropper to get me through these surface.
And what today you've got down? Number 6s or?
No, I've got 1 number 10, probably about a foot away from me hook, and then I've got like some number 4s, 2 or 3 number 4s bulked together.
What's this?
A little end?
You said you weren't fishing for them.
Well, yeah, but you got to sort of. Oh, it's only about
It's a roach.
4 ounce. It's a nice roach. One of the. Off we go. I'll try a corn.
So you were saying about shotting patterns. I mean, what is it that determines for you what sort of shotting pattern you use?
Well, over the years, all the waters that I've been on, you've like got to think, well, how do I get through the small fish? Well, years ago there used to be thousands of bleak, and you used to get 2, 3, 4, 5 a minute. Nowadays, bleak are no more, really talking. And it's the same here. You fire bait in, and the water erupts, and it's fish of 2, 3, 4 ounces. Well, when you're on a water like this, it's no good. So we've got to get through the surface feeders down to the bottom if possible. So I have more lead down than normal. If I want to go and get a bite, most casts in off of small fish with an odd big one, it's just 0 shots, meaning 3 treble A lock in the float. I would have like 3 number 10s strung out, meaning if it's 3 foot deep, 1 every foot.
Would you ever fish with no shot on the line?
No, I'm not that way believer. I'd sooner get fish on the bottom, and I'm in control of the fish then. When they're on the bottom, I can work them to how I want them feeding. When they're in mid-water, and some of the waters we fish perhaps are 10 foot deep, well, how deep are the fish? You know, are they a foot deep, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot? But if I can get them, you know, downstairs, you know, on the 10 foot, then I'm in control of them.
I think that's an area where the average angler struggles a bit, and I mean, we do acknowledge that we do catch a lot of fish up in the water, particularly roach.
Yes, nowadays.
And when we lose feed, it's very difficult to keep the fish down when they are competing for food, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very, very hard, and it's the volume of bait what you're actually putting in.
I mean, it's not so many years ago that you and I would think nothing of going to the Welland or the Thames with a gallon of maggots.
Oh no, I mean that is it, and we just we just carry on from that. I don't know if that was a running bite or not, but the float was moving, so I just moved it. But it wasn't a bite.
No. So when would you fish with heavy shot down?
Well, when I'm trying to break through, you know, the small fish. If I wasn't getting troubled by the small fish on the drop, I'd sort of fish these 3 number 10s and try to take the bigger fish. But there is so many fish in this water that it's ridiculous to catch them.
I'll tell you what I have noticed. You're not bothering to sink your line.
Well, it's an heavier line than normal. Normally, you know, where you use a 2-pound line for a float line with a light bottom, I've gone like to a 3-pound line, so the line is sinking for itself. It does sink. You can see me just knock the rod a couple of times, and the line's gone. A lot of people let the wind blow the float around, but on a still water you've got to try to hold it basically still. But as it goes, there's a big fish what's just shot through the swim.
I'm off with your bait, but it looks...
Well, yes, I've missed another one, like I've been doing today.
Looking at the thinness of that rod, we've come a long way since the old days of your persuader, haven't we?
The persuader was probably 4 times thick as this,
Yes.
and it was the in rod at that time, but the manufacturers have got it off to a T, and they've got carbon, and see, when you said I'm not sinking it, it is that 2 or 3 jerks, and I don't want to jerk it anymore, and the line should be sunk.
Is it Matty fishing with Maxima?
No, this is racing tortoise. But going back to the rod, they're so thin and they're so light nowadays. And if you break a joint, truthfully, you can get them repaired, you know, from the manufacturer.
What do you look for? I know you use 13-foot rods, which tends to be, some people like a 12, some like a 13. What do you look for in a fishing rod?
Well, I like them to have a fair bit of give, because I make a lot of mistakes. You know, the perfect angler's never around, and when I strike, I usually follow through on the strike, and if the rod don't bend, and when I feel the fish sort of thing, I've got to stop, and it allows me that little bit harder strike, and the rod will bend, and you know, like that, David.
Very forgiving.
Yeah, it's giving, and then when I've penetrated the hook, I'm playing the fish. But if you've got a rigid rod, meaning that it's like a poker, that you finish up getting broke more times than you should do. So you've got to allow for a fair few mistakes. You know, the perfect angler who comes along and says, I have never been broken on a strike, he's been fishing once and had 1 bite.
He's also not tried this game, has he?
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at it truthfully. It's the person who says, you know, I am going to make mistakes, and if I can, you know, cut the mistakes down, and the rod's going to do it for me. You know, my arm can't be 100% right all the time, but the majority of the times my arm gets me out of the trouble. But when that don't, I've got to pray and hope the rod does. And if the rod don't, then I've lost an hook.
But do you tend to use a through action rod rather than a tip action?
Yeah, I use more through action than a tip. And I use 13 foots. I've always been brought up with a 13-foot rod. And if I want to fish 14, 15, 16 foot, it's quite easily for me to do it, because I was brought up with it. I don't go like to the 15, 16, 17 foot rods.
Do you use different rods for stillwater fishing too?
No, I like to use the same rods, float rods, when I'm, say, on a running water, still water. I like to use the same rod.
I think just dropping in short there, you're going to get plagued with roach.
Yeah.
It's an incredible fishery, isn't it? I mean, there's so many fish.
But
Somebody going on holidays?
yeah, I like to use the same rods wherever I go. I don't change the rods. The only rods I change is the feeder and bomb rods, like float rods.
But you'd be quite happy using this rod on the river?
Oh yes. I mean, I've got a carp, you know, well, 2 or 3 carp, but I've got one like 4 or 5 pound. I got it out on it. I've got 10 pound plus. Feels like a bream, Dave.
Is it?
Yeah, it does feel like a bream. You know, it feels dead.
Oh, it could quite easily be one of the...
Oh no, it's carp.
It's a carp.
Well, it's one of those things.
There's a lot of fish out there now, isn't there?
Yes, there's a lot of fish.
It's a nice little mirror.
Is it a mirror? Oh yeah, it is a mirror as well.
That rod goes, doesn't it?
It really bends. As I say, this is what I'm saying, like, I like to use a rod on all venues.
If that was a bream, Ivan, it'd be bending like that.
No, I mean, if this was a bream and I was putting this much pressure behind a bream,
it would be flying through the air.
well, it would be in the landing net by now. I mean, this is the ideal pleasure angler's fish, sort of. You know, they put up, pound for pound, as good as fight as any.
Oh, tremendous. It's a lovely fish.
Well, it's fighting fit.
Yes, they are, aren't they?
Yeah,
Would you use that rod on the river?
yeah, I'd use it on the... It's, you know, it's a fish of probably near on 2 pound. And how many times are you going to get a 2 pound fish nowadays in
Look at that, you can
competition?
see they're not feeding properly. You think you've hooked it on the outside of the mouth, haven't
yeah,
you?
this is it. It was just hooked on the outside, but it's a nice 2 pound fish. And as for saying, would you use the rod on the river, it's handled that well enough on air.
Yes.
And if you write down how many actually fish you catch in a season over 2 pound on float tattle, you don't seem to get that many.
No. No.
I think you're only talking in terms of 40 or 50 fish in a season. And that's on a very, very good season.
That groundbait smells really nice.
Well, yeah, it's...
What's in it?
well, it's what they call super cup, and it's randonidins, and I'm a big believer in additives in your groundbait. And you know, if you said what would you use on maggots, we use a thing called turmeric. Ask me why, I can't explain it. Oh, I've just lost one, David. See, you can't all be perfect. I'll get that one in. When you was mentioning additives just a few minutes ago, they're a confidence booster, because when you try them and you catch, you always want to go with them, and the day you go without them is the day you have probably a poor day, and you blame it because you've not got the additive.
Oh, I can remember not so long ago, a good friend of yours and mine, Stan Peacher, had a very, very good run, and he was using a groundbait mix at that time, which he had total confidence in.
Oh yes.
And I mean, that's a word that we use a lot, confidence.
Oh yeah, it's confidence, and this is it. You know, when people say how much do you put in, you come up with your own mix. And what is your own mix? It's your own confidence booster. And you try to tell people, but if they want to go overboard and probably catch fish.
Do you have any favourites yourself?
When I'm bream fishing, I like put sweet smelling things, and probably sugar.
What you would actually put sugar in your groundbait?
Yeah, I put sugar in my groundbait, a sweetener.
Did you used to use molasses years at one time, years
we
ago?
used a bit of molasses at one time, but we didn't find it was, you know, that good. But we've always used sugar, and of course we were known as the bream anglers. And of course you can't see sugar, you can't smell sugar, so nobody knew about it until we told people. It's not like the additives today. You automatically can pick up the cereals or maggots and smell it straight away. You
Yes,
know
I think
something. I've got one day.
Oh, good one.
Well, yeah.
Where's it gone?
It's gone flying at 300 mile an hour down the lake.
Oh, a carp's.
Well, it's going to be.
They do motor, don't they?
Well, that's the trouble with them. So, you know, it's probably not very big. You know, £1, £2 fish again, but
They're so powerful, aren't they?
but they're so powerful, and when you're playing on these sort of rods, you don't try to break them. You know, only when you test it.
Oh dear.
Oh dearie, dearie, dearie.
You took your hook?
No, but it's come off.
Oh.
Well, that's the first one I've lost today.
What can you say?
Well, we're all human.
We certainly are. When you come to a place like this, what do you look for in a swim?
Well, I can't say, you know, where the bank is wore down and things like that. That's what you normally look for on normal water. But what I would look for here, what I would actually look for here is
That's a carp.
it might be a little carp.
It's amazing that you sit here and you can't get a bite.
And then 2 puts in 2 fish.
Look for a couple of roach and
Well, I don't know what it is. It's a red fin.
it's a roach.
It looks like a nice roach or rudd.
A rudd.
It could be a rudd.
Looks like a rudd.
Yeah. I think just to be on the riverbank. No, it's a nice.
Is it a roach?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, it looks
a
like
rudd.
it's a rudd. Nice fish, nice red fins. But when you come to a place like this, we'll put him in the net. When you come to a place like this, it's just sitting at a swim. I don't think you had to look for anything out of the ordinary. If somebody wanted to catch a sizable fish or plenty of carp, going up towards an island, or even the top corner of the lake where it's amongst the trees and it's the shadiest part of the lake. Now they're the things you're looking for, but to sit down anywhere on this lake you will catch, you know, a fair number of fish.
What about... Oops. Oh! That's a runner.
Well,
I will tell you, if that's a roach, Richard Jones has got a problem. Because his record has just gone.
well, it'll be a small carp, but it's the power of them when they go.
They're marvellous fish, marvellous fish. Look at the way that's boiling there. I mean, we were talking earlier about fish behaviour. How do you predict fish behaviour?
Well, you can't. Out of the blue, you know, you've gone a short spell without any fish, and then out of the blue,
The fish comes alive.
Yes, I've had 3 different species. I've had a roach, or a skimmer.
It's the tench.
No, it's a
not.
carp.
It's a
And
nice little mirror.
yeah, I've had 3 different species in 3 casts in, and I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to catch the next one, because if I say I will catch one on the next cast in,
You probably will.
I'll probably fall in.
See, they're lovely for the pleasure angler, aren't they? Just a nice manageable
Yeah, it's
size.
been caught before and damaged.
Has it?
Yeah, it's been damaged badly, its mouth. But
I think if we, as a journalist, if
it's
there
a
was
beautiful fish.
any message I try to get over, is the importance of fish handling, and I'm sure...
Yeah, you know, treat your fish with care. I mean, what people don't realise is a fish of that size don't grow overnight.
No.
So if you treat it rough and it dies, you're not going to catch one the next day the same size, you know. You've got to wait to a couple of years before you'll catch one that size again, and it's the same with all fish. Look after them. They're not here every day, and it's very, very hard to get permission to fish and quite easy to lose the rights.
I think one of the... Another bite?
Yeah, but I think what I've created an atmosphere now with putting so much feed in, anything what it's the top of the water now, they're going to have a go, and fortunately I've just realised not to feed. I could carry on feeding and be striking at myths, and we'll just see what happens when I don't feed for a bit.
I think one of the
myth bites are here again.
But this goes back to what we've talked about many times before. You try to do something to create one situation, and you finish up creating another situation.
Yeah.
You've tried to generate bites by putting in a lot of feed, and the reality is the fish are now up in the water looking for the feed, aren't they?
Well, they just go by. I mean, you strike at nothing, and there's got to be a point of they're coming to a splash, really speaking. You see, as soon as the float is landing, I'm getting an indication, and you miss a lot of bites, but at the end of the day, you catch, you know, your fair share.
But I don't know about you, but I'm becoming increasingly aware of the need for conservation.
Oh yeah.
And the need for anglers to be involved in conservation. And
well,
when you look at lovely places like this, you want to conserve them, don't you?
Oh yeah, I mean this is a one-off place, and it's just marvellous to be here.
There's fish splashing about. I suppose a lot of these fish are spawning now, aren't they?
Well, they're still spawning. You know, the weather's been half tidy, and the water temperature's gone up, but I've just not had a bite for a little while, but I've got another thing. But I wouldn't like to say what this fish is actually.
It's coming in.
Looks like a skimmy.
It's a skimmer.
Skimmer up in the air, as we call it. But
I think you're fishing in an aquarium.
Well, yeah, but that's how good the actual venue is. I mean,
yeah, and it is nice to catch you, not knowing what you're going to catch next, isn't it?
Well, no, that is the old thing. You can fish away, and it's a nice little bream, about 12-14 ounce, but I would kiss it on certain days, especially in the winter.
Oh, yes, I can think of a few winter leagues you and I have fished in where we'd have been glad of a skimmer. You obviously, because of your status in angling, you obviously get approached by people. Well, what advice do you give people about angling?
Well, for a start, as we were just talking, let's look after us fish for a start, you know, and thank the people who allows us to go on their land. Because, you know, breaking trees down and fences, at the end of the day, if they say it is private and you can't go, we can't go fishing. So it's a matter of, when you pack up, make sure you're not left any tins around, empty up packets, groundbait packets, put them in your overall or hand luggage as we call it, take them home and put them in the dustbin, and that's where they've got to be. If you want to leave them on the bank, then realise that you might not be able to go there next time. And for a fishery like this, it would actually kill you, because it's nice to bring your wife, can sit behind you, and it's perfect. And that's what fishing's about. And you know, to youngsters, they've got to learn to feed half tidy, little and often. If they do that and use little hooks, and we'll talk in terms of getting bites before we sort of can catch a fish, and don't try to run before you can walk. And where people fish out at 20 yards and can control the floats, it is best to fish 6, 7, 8 yards, control your float and make sure it's still. If you want it wrong, fish bigger distances, no bites, no fish. So at the end of the day, learn little and often.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice for everybody, because I think you and I recognise that it's very easy to look pretty.
Well, I've seen so many anglers who are brilliant, they look fantastic, but the trouble is when they lift the nets out, they've got nothing in them.
No.
And you'll see other anglers what look very crude, but the float works for, you know, a certain amount of seconds, but it's perfect portrait motion in those 10 seconds, and that is when all the damage is actually done.
I think the thing is that when people watch you fish, it looks easy, because it is easy, because you do it, you make it easy, you don't make hard work for yourself. You see a lot of anglers, they're undershotted, but they're trying to, I think I used to call them Zorro, whenever they say, whoosh, and you've always been a very simple angler.
Well, that is what I put down to fishing. It is a simple sport, and if you do it half tidy, it is very, very easy. If you want to make it hard, it's like any other sport. It is the hardest sport in the world, whatever you take, you know. And I've been fortunate to win a few competitions, and at the end of the day, people have looked at me and said why, and truthfully I believe I'm a natural, and I cut all my movements down if possible. And where people try to copy me, and they'll probably got to work 10 times harder than me to get the same, but they can get there through a lot of hard work.
You're fishing with an inserted waggler today, and you have a lot of what we would call straight peacocks. Why have you used an insert?
It's for the drop bites, you know, where a fish lifts the bottom shot up and it rises it. Now I'm going like from a float which is probably 1/4 of an inch thick to something what's just over 1/8 of an inch. Now if I got it 1/4 of an inch thick at the top and the fish sort of lifted a shot up, it would have to be a big shot to show the lift. So there I've dotted it down, and it could lift a shot up, meaning not registering on the line, and the float might come out an inch, and the float don't have to go under all the time for a bite.
And I think a lot of people don't realise that. They think the only bite
is go under.
When it goes under.
The fish goes under, but you see, if the fish takes it what we call in mid-water, and it does not allow your bottom shot to register, well, if it don't register, there's more float sticking out. And with this float, what people don't realise, there's paint not on it, and it's cracked and things like that, but that's a normal item.
No, that's just normal use.
Yeah, but when fish starts to eat floats, I will make them better. Fish don't look at floats, they're not for eating. What is actually for eating is on the end of the hook, and I've hooked myself. And at the end of the day, fish don't look at floats.
Do you always use peacock, Ivan?
I use peacock, yeah. It's easy to work, and I think there's a few floats around. They're different sizes.
Some great big things down here.
Yeah, there's a few different sizes.
They take you back, don't they?
Well, they take me back, and you'll see like floats with no paint on, but in my boxes I've got like little pens, and
but these are your big jobs, aren't
they're my big jobs. I mean, that one there, that is something like 4.5 swan, and the last time I used it was September last year in Ireland, and I finished, I think I was 5th in the Home International. Yeah, in the Home International, fishing with a slider 20 foot deep. But that's what got me, you know, my section win and England to win.
Yes, I don't think we should advise.
Oh no. I mean, they are dangerous weapons in the wrong hands. You know, they go through the airs like arrows, and if the sort of break and the shot are carried, you know, that's a float going 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. The only trouble is when you throw it out, you can't see it. You need a pair of binoculars.
Yes, we used to look at these when we were younger, didn't we?
Yeah. And the others,
all peacock.
and they're all peacock, and the others are places like the North Bank. I carry them all around with me because you never know the day.
You might need them.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you go on the North Bank. If the wind is behind you and perfect, you can get away with a small float. If the wind is rough and downstream
fish topping out there.
And things like that, that's when you call on these floats. It's no use turning round and saying, well, I've left them at home. If I'd got them, I'd have won the competition. The answer is, well, you don't leave them at home. Oh, you know, it's like a golfer. When he goes on a golf course,
he takes all his golf clubs.
He takes what is allowed, and if there's an X amount of clubs is allowed, he takes every one. And it's no use getting to the green and saying, well, I've left my putter at home. That's cost him a lot of money. And, you know, in our sport, the float can do the same.
Through the seasons of the year, do you have a favourite fish?
Well, we have a laugh about favourite fish. I mean, I've got one favourite fish, but I'll tell you some stories. But at the end of the day, I enjoy being on the bank. It's like today. The birds are singing, the sun's out, I'm catching one or two fish. What's better, really speaking? People will say other things, but I enjoy this. This is me. But my favourite fish, you know, they all call me...
hybrid, the looks thing.
Yeah, they all call me a bream angler. And what they don't seem to understand is, of these bream anglers, I think it's most boring. And it's a little hybrid.
It is a hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a rudd bream.
Yeah.
It might be a roach-bream, but it's definitely not a full-blooded bream. But, you know, it's nice to catch them.
And they always fight that little bit better, don't
They always fight, and they always weigh, you know, those ounce or two better than the normal species.
Yeah. But years ago, I mean, because fishing's changed and because our river fishing seems to have gone a lot, I mean, when I think back to, I don't know how many years ago you and I met each other, we used to go on the Welland in the summer and then go down on the Severn, and there were summer species we used to pursue. We never used to catch roach till October, did we?
No, but I think people have learnt that fish have got to live, and fish feed all the year round. Yeah. And we've just sort of changed those little methods, and we can catch bream. Used to never be a winter fish, but we found out that bream fishing in the winter is great.
Yeah.
But you know, as you were asking me before, your favourite fish, and my favourite fish, this always causes laughs on shows, is in Italian. No, it's not in Italian. It is a Spanish gudgeon, because I'd fished 2 hours, 40 minutes in the World Championship and hadn't caught a fish. And I happened to catch a gudgeon, and it was in the World Championship, and there was 9 dry nets in my section, and that one gudgeon sort of scored me good points, and I did kiss it. But that's... So, you know, I'm just glad to be on the riverbank.
But I mean, now as the evening comes on, you couldn't be anywhere nicer.
No, I don't think
shadows are starting to stretch over the lake, and you can see fish moving and topping everywhere. It's a lovely warm summer's evening. If we could get summers like this, you'd never go abroad, would you?
Well, no, that is it. You know, I mean, we're having a marvellous summer this year.
I mean, you and I'd sit here all night, wouldn't you?
Well, it's when can't we see the float, and it's time to pack up, go down the road, have a drink, and then go home to bed, like, and say we've enjoyed ourselves today.
Yes, there's no nicer way of spending a day, is there?
No. You see, when I was feeding before, I was getting a lot of bites when I stopped feeding, but it seems like I've got to sort of stir them up again, and get them sort of boiling, and then I'm feeding a few casters and maggots, and then I'm going in on sweetcorn.
Now
and
the funny
catching
thing
fish.
is, you look at that, the way those fish are topping it, you would swear they were small fish.
Yeah.
You would say they're little fish then, that
You
are
would-
topping. Watch,
Yeah.
look at them, look at them.
It is one massive.
But they're not small fish, because
Oh,
you're not
no.
catching any small fish.
No, we're not
No.
catching the 2
No.
and 3 ounce. They're all.
Now if we, I mean, the years gone by on the river, we'd have said they were bleak, wouldn't we?
Yes, yes.
And yet you're going in and you're catching a good stamp of fish. And the very fact that they're coming so high in the water, they're obviously hungry, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I'm fishing what you call mid-water with all the shot underneath me float with a couple of little bits, 2 or 3 number 10s down, and as soon as the float lands, when I stop feeding, I get a bite. I need a third hand, but there is that many bites and I'm hooking no fish, because what they're actually doing is flashing at the feed what I'm putting in by loose, and they're hitting my line and giving me indications. So what I do is I tempt them and then play the dirty, feed nothing and cast in, and hoping that, you know, probably 20 fish are going after my little piece of sweet corn. Hold on, Davey, I got one this time.
Well, it was obvious they were going to come back, wasn't it?
Well, in time, it's time. You know, the sun's going down, and it ain't a bad, it ain't a bad fish neither.
They're funny, aren't they? Because some of them power off, but the better ones seem to chug about.
Oh,
don't
they just chug around. You know, I can't put that much pressure on because these type of rods weren't made for them, like.
Nice action though, that.
Oh, it's nice. It's
Oh,
here he goes. Come on. He's just hugging the bottom, and I can't get him away from the roots of that tree. It's still a bit
well,
far.
they're not stupid, are they?
Oh no.
Oh, what's your finger?
Oh, that's quite all right.
It's beautiful now, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
They all go the same way, don't
Yeah, they all go the same way. You know.
they? The way you had your rod then, I think if that had come off, I could have been a hospital job. Look at that. How big is it? Have you seen it?
No, it's 4 or 5 pound. It's somewhere in that region. It might be bigger. You know, it's not sort of done daft things. I don't even think he knows he's up, really speaking. You know, and here he goes. It's just a
He
matter.
wants to go under that tree, doesn't he?
He wants to get that tree, and he's. Come on, baby.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Oh, look at that. Come on, my son.
Pass us that there, David.
Once you get their head up.
Once you get some oxygen in them,
I think about me.
yeah, the gabama, yeah, you know, I mean, it's like anything else. Normally, if this had been a bream or a chub or something like that, it would have been out on the bank.
They're
but-
very exciting, aren't they?
oh yeah.
We're just losing the sun. Look at that. You look at the mouths, you know. They forage about in the gravel and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's
Very tough mouth.
oh yeah. It's a bit bigger than
Beautiful
4 or
fish.
5 pound.
Beautiful fish.
Oh, it's just get
Nice
this
mirror.
hook out.
Nice
Here we
mirror.
go. We're in trouble again. Let's got that out. I'm having a fight with him, and he ain't wriggling.
He knows. He knows.
There you are. You know, it's probably, what would you say, 6, 7?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's a thick one. It's a nice mirror. Good neck. I'll just put him back in the keep net and put him in my own. Here we go. Go on, baby. That's it. And we'll see if we can get another one, Dave.
I think that was a bonus, that one.
Well, yeah, it's the biggest fish of the day, but I think I've probably lost one or two just as big.
Well, the problem is you've got lily pads either side of your swim, and the bigger ones, really, they just power off, don't they?
Well, yeah, you know, I'm not sort of geared up for carp. So at the end of the day...
No, you've just come for a bit of fun.
Yeah, I've come to enjoy myself and treat it just as a nice pleasure day's fishing. And I've enjoyed it. I've caught 3 or 4 different species of fish. What more do you want? You're just sitting here and hoping you get a bite. Just throw a bit of feed in, get them boiling on the top again to send me more barmy as usual. As I say, I like them usually on the bottom, but there they are again. You know, as quick as you put it in. I don't think.
Back, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think any bait's getting to the bottom. I think it's all cleared up before you start.
Yes, I remember going on the 7 and feeding 12 pints of maggots.
Oh yeah.
And somebody said to me, why was I putting so much in? And there were just so many bleak there.
Yeah.
That even at the end of the day, I didn't feel much had got through to the bigger fish.
No, you know, I take a fair amount of bait with me, and I can always bring it back, you know, and I make up my mind when I get to my actual swim.
Float's dancing.
What I'm going to do. And if I think I've got to throw a lot of feed in, I let fly. And if I think not so much, I can always take it home and put it in my fridge in the garage. But we'll just shallow up again and see if we can sort of, although I caught that one, I can shallow up, and because they've come up in the air again, see if I can sort of pinch another one up in the air. Here we go, we'll stop feeding and see if we can get kid one on.
There.
Ah! I've kidded myself and I've got the bite but missed it as usual.
Age.
Probably.
Too many birthdays.
Probably, but...
Lovely sky.
Well, I've got a fish, but it's not as big as the last one. It's only a small roach. Or rudd.
Oh, hybrid.
No, it's a roach. Again?
You've lost your disgorger.
No, there'll be one around. I had to have different coloured...
The world's most untidy hanging.
Yeah, I had to have...
Know where anything
I had
is.
to have different coloured disgorgers because, like, anybody who goes into my swim after the competition, they're able to find a disgorger. But now I've got different coloured ones. I don't lose so many. That was easy to pick out.
I always keep mine behind my ear.
Well, yeah.
Giles taught me that. He said your ear never moves.
Yeah, that's quite true, you know.
I used to have one on elastic.
And you about killed yourself.
Kenny Collins told me about. And one winter league I was fishing away, and I pulled in the elastic, and I let go. It went right up my nose, so I never did it again.
Yeah.
So I always put it behind my ear now. It's been interesting watching you, Ivan, because you've fished at all depths.
Oh, yeah, I've caught... Well, you only got to look at the species I've caught. And you catch shallow, deep, medium. And so I'm up and down trying to catch fish where the normal angler says, well, I'm fishing that depth, and sometimes the fish on the top and don't go downstairs, as what we call it. And if there was to go downstairs when they can't get a bite when they're up in the air, they'll probably still catch downstairs.
Also, your feeding's been interesting. You started off quite sparingly, and although there was a lot of fish in the swim,
Well,
you weren't catching, and then when you really started to power it in,
yeah,
the fish came onto the feed, didn't they?
yeah, you know, it happens. You know, here I'm going to fire 2 or 3 pouches in again. The fish will boil, and you think, well, if you drop in, you'll catch a fish. You'll get indications, and you might catch a fish. But what I do is like get them in a crazy way of feeding, and then throw a different coloured bait in altogether, which is a piece of sweetcorn, and I'm feeding. And hopefully I drop it in and a fish will take it. But normally the float goes straight the way, and this time it's not. But
This just goes to prove there's nothing as queer as fishing, is there?
well, this is it. You know, some people say, oh, you can go and catch fish anytime. No, you can't. You believe you can, but you can't. Everything's got to be right for you, you know, and we do all get entangled.
I think we should quit while we're ahead.
Well, I'll try to catch one more.
I think we're going to lose the sun soon.
Yeah. We'll
It's
save
funny, you can tell it's still early summer because even now the sun is still in the sky, but there's starting to be a chill in the air, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like the last 15 minutes it started to go. The wind started to drop. But it's just that you can feel the temperature going down. I'm casting more often now, but we'll call this the last cast, and hopefully it will go, but I don't think it's going to, because no, it's not going to go. There's probably a couple of battleships moved in, meaning big carp, and it scared them all. And
Do the other species move out when the carp move in?
yes, it's like children and adults. You know, your little ones all play, and when your adults come around, your children like give way, and it's like these carp. I mean, fish of 4, 5, 6 ounce, and then all of a sudden you got something like 5, 6, 7 pound, or even up to 20 pound. You've got to give way. You know, they're gaffers. And I think this is what more or less happens. There's a bite.
Oh,
Ooh,
good
you
night,
devil.
Vienna.
Well, we
And that's
said
not a rud.
no. It's not a rod. I bought. God, it's gone this time. It's hit the bottom, but this is definitely the last fish. Well, you know, I'm not going to say I'm going to get this out, because if I tell you I'll get it out, I'll lose it. So the thing is we'll see. You know, I just want to get it. Oh, it's come off. It's come off. But I think I foul-hooked it, Dave. And when I say that,
Oh, look at that scale.
when I said that, you know, that proves that I'd foul-hooked it. I've got a scale of the size of a. Well, what size would you call that?
5 pp's.
Well, yeah, you know, it's a good size, but that was it. You know, I had the indication.
Go on, you've got to have another chuck.
Oh, he said I've got to have another chuck. But, you know, I mean, that was just it.
That wasn't a £4 fish.
Oh, no, no, no. I mean, it's a scale, and it was unfortunate that I'd snared him. I wish I hadn't have done like. I think I'd have got him, but you never know where your hook penetrates when you foul hook 'em. Certain places, if you hook 'em in the...
If you hook them in the fins, you tend to be alright, don't you?
If you hook 'em in the fins, you seem to get them out. If you hook 'em in the sides or anywhere like that, it is very, very hard. And especially fish that size. You know, that's another 4, 5, 6 pounder, and maybe even bigger.
Didn't have your name on it.
No, that is it. You know, that's the day you cry. You know, thinking, "Cool, I've lost a decent fish." But I had the indication. The float went, I struck, and he swam into my line. Now I didn't know it wasn't in its mouth.
Does not count.
No, they don't count when you lose them. I wish I wish they did, because I'd win a lot more matches than how many you lose. But you know, they seem to be swimming by you, but not taking the actual bait. I would say.
Well, despite the fact that the carp haven't fed this evening, the other species have been quite.
Yes, we've caught one or two, but I mean, you know, I'm
close on £20.
Yeah, I mean, you look at £20 and you turn around and say, where can you go and catch £20 from?
In an afternoon and early evening.
Yeah, it's not that I've used a lot of bait to catch it, no.
No.
You know, it's just been nice, and that's not counting the other probably £20 I've lost. You know, to be truthful.
Oh, get your float. They're still there, aren't they?
There's fish there, and the unfortunate thing is, you come on another day and they will all be genuine bites and not indications of bites.
And from the splashing we've heard, I mean, the fish are obviously still spawning.
Oh yes.
Gone quiet now, I've.
Yeah?
I'm going to let you catch one more fish, and then we're going home.
Right on then, Dave.
That's if you can catch one more fish.
Yeah.
Because I think the magic's gone.
Oh, Davey. I've got one.
That's sod's law.
Where you...
Is it it's only a bait, they don't count.
Tell you what, you know, in a winter league, you'd be sort of jumping up and down, whistling and singing on any water. Cool. That'd get you a few points.
You
Look
know,
at
hybrid.
that. Yeah, it's a... I would
They're
say...
lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say...
You've lost it again.
No, I'm not. They're hybrid roach... No.
They're rudd, aren't they?
Bream rudd.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. And that is it, Davey.
That's your lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, the trouble is, nice little fish, bream rudd hybrid. We'll put it in because we'll get the net out.
Time to go home.
And it's time to go home, because if I don't go now, God, that's definitely done it.
You've snared
Look at that.
That hook's not coming back.
It might do. I don't want to lose it, if possible.
Say goodnight, Ive. Let me get those fish
Yeah,
out.
got me up
Have a look at
packet
them.
on somebody else's line. We'll put the rod down there.
It's a bit
We'll
precarious.
just pick up a few up packets.
Let's have a look what you've got. What do you reckon?
Well, probably £20, and it's like I've not like forced anything, but it won't be far off 20.
Oh,
And we're in trouble.
yeah, it's just caught up on a brown toe. It's nice to see you using these fish protecting nets. They're a nice idea, aren't they? Let's have a look what you've got.
There won't be far off 20 there.
Oof. It's a good 20.
Well, I would think
Good
so.
20.
I mean, have a look, Davey.
Normally you get your picture taken with these, don't you?
Well, you normally do, but
These little mirrors, you know, they always get caught
yeah,
up
you've
in...
got some hybrids. There's a rudd, roach, and we've got a couple of tench here.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a nice mixed fish, like.
That's a dark fish there, isn't it?
Yeah, what that's called. Yeah, little mirror.
Look at this.
And then you got the big one, and then you got another mirror there. Like when you look at it, I've got a good double-figured plus without the carp.
Better than sex, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.